Good evening, everybody, and welcome to PlayPSVR, the podcast, your favorite PlayStation podcast, your favorite VR podcast. I'm Alex. I'm here to talk to you about some PSVR goodness. And here tonight with me, he can't dance. He cannot walk. Really, the only thing about him is the way that he talks about PlayStation and VR. And that is my boy, Adam. Adam, how are you doing tonight, man?
Listen, I'm pretty pumped, and I just miss talking about VR, dude. I miss talking about virtual reality. I haven't played virtual reality, but I miss talking about it. I don't miss you that much, but I miss our fans, and I miss virtual reality.
Yeah, I missed virtual reality too. That's why I wanted to do an episode of this, because I wanted to spend time diving back into virtual reality. We have our other lover, the Play PS5 podcast, that we're kind of focusing our energy on because there's so much happening in that space, but I wanted to dig into some VR stuff because there's a lot of fun stuff happening out there. So yeah, I'm happy to talk about it, and I'm hoping ultimately to have you walk away from this episode feeling a deep, deep remorse and regret for having sold your PlayStation 4 so that you could be playing these games, but you
can't.
A
couple quick points. First, I think wholeheartedly this is the reason you're having us do this episode, because while I'm over here playing Castlevania 4 on Super Nintendo, just getting my booty rocked over and over and over and over, I wanted to keep going, but I figured that would get annoying. And you're over here playing Star Wars Squadrons and Budget Cuts and all these other fun games. One, you want to rub in my face. Two, I think I made the right choice, buddy, because now I looked, the market the influx of PS4s are nuts. Granted, people are now trying to sell them at like $450, which you could go buy a brand new one for $400. No one's buying them because no one wants them. Had I waited, I would have been able to sold mine.
What price are they being? If you were to buy one, what price would it be now? Like, how much could I sell my Destiny 2 edition PlayStation Pro?
I didn't look at the ones that were actually being sold. I just see on the local marketplace there are a lot of PS4s out there, and they're all going for like $450, and they don't have any specs on it. Some of them aren't even PS4 Pros. It's these people that their kids are like, "Hey, I want a PS5," and they're like, "Oh, dang it. My name's Karen, and I need to sell my kid's PS4 so we can get them a PS5. They don't know crap, and they're flooding the market with these PS4s that are unreasonable. So I feel like it would be difficult.
Topical Karen discussion. I didn't know you were the type, but all right, it makes sense.
Listen, I'll go head-to-head with a Karen any day. But before, I don't want to get into that. I want to get into my gamer juice. I'm going to go first because it's going to take me a while to actually drink this. This drink, I think I've either had it on here or Play PS5. I don't remember, but it's so unique, I had to bring it back. It's called Karma. It's probiotic water, and the special thing about it is there's a special lid that has a bunch of the probiotics. It's like a little powder that also adds some of the flavor. It's a blueberry lemonade. It says there are 2 billion cultures. So in the cap, you push it down. You might hear this. Holy F. Holy. Wait, let me open it. Do I have to open it? Maybe it's vacuum sealed.
Maybe you need some probiotics to
Dude, this is live radio, folks. They need
somebody who's been drinking that water for months to help you open your first bottle.
It's freaking hard to even open them.
Is there like an age limit on there? Like, you got to be so smart?
Here it goes. Yeah, it was like vacuum sealed. So you get that in there, and then you just... Boom. Did you hear it?
Yeah, very, very subtle thud.
Okay, well, whatever. It's coming out, and then you shake the living crap out of it, and which I'm going to do now while you do yours. And then it tastes like blueberry lemonade, and I got 2 billion cultures in my stomach. So that's what's up. It's a very unique gamer juice. I like it. I don't know if this probiotic crap is a bunch of garbage and liberal hearsay, but... whatever.
Here we are, episode 85 of Play PSVR, the podcast. And finally, Adam has some culture. I'm proud of you, man. You finally come around. My gamer juice this week is AHA sparkling water. I'm real boring with the gamer juice. I just haven't had time to go to the come and go. They close on me now. They used to be 24/7. Now they shut down on me. But I have become buddy with the dude behind the counter. He's also getting a PlayStation 5. I haven't told him about the podcast yet. Maybe I should have him on. Sparkling water. This is peach and honey flavored. it tastes like, I guzzle this stuff so quickly. It just tastes like water that burns a little bit. How are your cultures?
The thing is, it's pretty good. It really does taste. I mean, I don't know how the cultures are, but the drink itself, blueberry lemonade, is legit stuff. And
You're gonna have diarrhea from that water.
I've also eaten 8 Go-Gurts today. So, I mean, my stomach is probably just like, what the F is going
What
on?
did your doctor tell you that you like are at risk for something and so you're just going hard in the paint?
No, I reacquainted myself with the love I have for Go-Gurt, and this is just so unique for a gamer juice. I feel like I had to do it.
Okay.
And so here we are.
All right, I'm tired of hearing about your butt yogurt, Jamie Lee Curtis. Let's move on to the Power A Play of the Week. And the Power A Play of the Week this week is to be determined. The point of this podcast, this episode, is that I have played 3 of the recent games that came out for the PSVR, and we're going to decide which one of those is the Play of the Week. So right off the bat, I want to say, I'll start off right off the bat. Star Wars Squadrons. This was the big release. Everybody's super excited for. I think even you, Adam, you're not a Star Wars guy, but you were interested in this game coming out. It's finally out, October 1st. So I think it came out yesterday or 2 days ago. And so I downloaded it and played it. I was a fan of Ace Combat's VR stuff. I played TIE Fighter when I was a kid. I loved Rogue Squadron and Rebel Squadron on the GameCube and Nintendo 64. This is great stuff. I'm a big fan of Star Wars, so I was super pumped about this game coming out. Saw some of the reviews trickle in, said some things like the single player is mostly a tutorial and it's all about the multiplayer, but that's okay. I don't have much time. Anytime I can spend in the Star Wars universe is going to be healthy time. Adam, were you really excited about this game, or did you not really have much interest in it?
I've got so many questions right off the bat. One, I couldn't really get pumped because I knew I wasn't able to play it. So it's like one of those things you're afraid to look when someone's making love because you want it to be you, but it's not. You're watching. And so I didn't really pay much attention to it. I knew it was coming out. I know people were hyped. I don't really care about Star Wars, but the idea of a racing game in VR that's based on flying in space and just the whole concept is very intriguing. So
it's not racing.
I would definitely play it when I have the capability, but give me another month and a half, and maybe I'll be the one getting laid next time.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's not a racing game. I guess you got mixed up there.
What?
It's a dogfighting game.
Oh, then I definitely don't want to play. Ace Combat sucked. I thought this game was like the one from the N64.
No. I mean, there is an N64 one, but you're thinking of Pod Racer. No, this is like Eve Valkyrie, but Star Wars.
Oh, then F this. I don't care then. Okay. Whatever.
Well, then
you can obviously tell I'm not paying attention to it.
Yeah,
okay.
You're terrible. Anyways, in this game, so I only played the single player because I did not want to embarrass myself in the multiplayer with the limited amount of time that I had playing this game. They kind of hyped up the single player. You're playing both sides. So you get to play as an Imperial pilot in a TIE fighter. You get to play as a Rebel pilot in an X-Wing or an A-Wing or the various ships that they have there. So that's really exciting because playing these Star Wars games, you want to get in all the ships that you possibly can. That's what makes it fun. Right off the bat, the first mission you do is in a TIE fighter. And I played the game with a DualShock. Let me see here. I know you can play it with a hot-ass controller. I don't think you can play it with the Move controllers.
Don't you say HOTAS?
HOTAS? Hot ass? I like hot ass. But okay. You can play it with the DualShock. You can play it with the hot ass. I didn't have the hot ass hooked up. I figured the DualShock would make sense to me anyways. The controls felt weird. So I guess the big thing is that this isn't a flight sim like Ace Combat. This is an outer space flight sim. So it's totally possible that you start moving at 0 miles per hour and you just sit there immobile because you're floating out in zero gravity of space. So that means that you don't really have thruster controls in the sense that you would in Ace Combat where you like hold down R2 to go faster, L2 to go slower, and otherwise you're constantly moving forward. No, you're kind of just adjusting your speed and kind of setting it to whatever you want. So that was kind of odd. Also, the TIE Fighter, apparently in Star Wars, has very high maneuverability. So yaw is a factor here. Instead of doing all your rolls and your pitches and stuff like that, you're also able to just kind of turn on a dime. That was kind of odd. The first mission had me going up to a trading depot and scanning some cargo containers to see where there were rebels hiding. These are rebels who escaped from Alderaan before Darth Vader blew it up like he did at the beginning of A New Hope in Star Wars Episode 4. Adam, have you seen Star Wars?
I'm about ready to interrupt you because you're telling us all about the stuff that no one cares about. No, I haven't seen Star Wars. I watched like the first one when there was Yoda in the cave and it was garbage and I quit.
That's the second one, all right, and it's also the best one, which is interesting.
I disagree. Here's the thing, Alex. You keep talking about these garbage. Tell me ignore everything, the handling of it. Is it as good as Ace Combat? Like, I want it to be so good and so unrestricted that it makes some people get motion sickness. Is that going to happen with this?
I think so. I'm accustomed to PSVR, so I don't think I was going to get the motion sickness, but I could definitely see how it's going to happen. You know, you can really spin yourself around as much as you want to. In Ace Combat, you're kind of limited, right? You're limited by the realistic physics, so you can't just twirl yourself around like a little tornado or something like that. But in this, it's totally possible to do that. You're looking around, you can get disoriented really quickly. However, in, you know, Ace Combat, you have a ground that you can kind of focus on and reference yourself with. Here, there is no ground. You're flying around. Suddenly, all the ships are upside down because you turned yourself upside down. Cool. So, yeah, I'm not going to make myself too sick. But, yeah, they have not restricted anything. You can turn it to smooth motion completely. You can turn, no blinders or anything like that. So it is unrestricted, full-on movement. One weird thing, the TIE fighters seem to have this, like, display when I'm sitting in the cockpit. Whole game is in a cockpit, by the way. Even if you play it on the TV, you're playing in a cockpit, so get used to that. But when I played the TIE Fighter, it had like a display, a heads-up display in front of me like the real TIE Fighter would. But it was really hard to see outside of my TIE Fighter what I was looking at. And I don't know what the point of that was, but I constantly felt like I wanted to stand up and look over the steering wheel, so to speak. And that was kind of frustrating. It made it hard to fly around. When I ultimately went to the next mission, got to fly an X-Wing, then things felt really nice because the X-Wing traditionally looks and feels more like an airplane. So that, I'm more used to flying an airplane than I am used to flying an X-Wing or a TIE fighter. So yeah, do what you want, make yourself as sick as you want, but it didn't, it holds up. The frame rates are good, so you're not I didn't get too much motion sickness. I didn't even get hints of it. Yeah.
So I know you haven't played multiplayer yet, but do you know when you do, are you playing others who are only in VR, or are you just playing anybody playing the game, even if they're playing the flat version?
I think you're playing against people who are playing in the flat version too, because it's not a VR only game. I want to say that there's also crossplay, as in you can play against people who are playing on PC as well. I don't know if this is out on Xbox, but yeah, so you're playing against all sorts of people as you play this game, which is cool. I don't mind. I don't think that VR gives you any kind of special benefit in the gameplay that, I mean,
does it put you at a disadvantage though?
I don't think so. No, really. I don't see how it could put you at a disadvantage because everybody's locked into the cockpit. If anything, VR has the advantage of you being able to crane your neck and, look up when you're trying to tail somebody. Whereas if you're flat mode, you're just stuck looking forward. So there's a benefit there. Maybe you get some better distancing, something like that. I don't know. But yeah, it's beautiful. You're starting to see the PlayStation 4 show its age with these VR titles. It doesn't look as good as like flat Ace Combat does. I saw some flat footage or some 2D footage of this game being played on like a review, and it looked spectacular. And in VR, I guess you lose some of the whiz bang elements, some of the explosion stuff, but it still looked good enough for me to enjoy the feeling of flying up under a Star Destroyer and kind of grazing its shields and avoiding the laser blast. That's cool. One weird thing, the very first dogfight I was in, ships were like, this is a dogfight that was, like I said, at like a trading depot, so there's structures all around. And you would see the AI-controlled enemies kind of get themselves stuck on structures. So I'd see like an X-Wing just fly into a wall and then just stop moving and then just kind of turn around like that and then just start flying off in another direction, which looks really weird. It's kind of off-putting. I had to do that myself sometimes, so that was kind of odd. But when you're out in the open flying around and dogfighting, it feels really good. The controls are really customizable. So I had trouble with the controls sometimes because it's not, like I said, it's not like Ace Combat. You got to have thruster control in a different way. So I didn't change any of the button configurations, but if I could get it more like the dogfighting in Ace Combat, I'd have a lot more fun. That being said, it's going to take me getting used to the controls, but the single player is enjoyable. The graphics and the cutscenes look great. It's just in VR, it's not quite amazing as it is in 2D. I have not touched the multiplayer. I have a feeling it's going to be pretty fun. I mean, Eve Valkyrie was pretty fun, and Eve Valkyrie had the exact same gameplay mode that this has, where you have all your dogfighters, 10 dogfighters on each side, and then you have motherships on each side, and you got to go and bring down the other person's mothership, take down the shields and then attack the main part of the base. That was really fun in Eve Valkyrie. Now, here's the thing. I think Eve Valkyrie did it all better. In the end, I think Eve Valkyrie did all of this better, and it did it all at the launch of the PSVR. And now, at the end, we have Star Wars basically copying Eve Valkyrie, but plugging in a Star Wars themed single player, and everybody's loving it. I don't get it. Eve Valkyrie was so fun. I wish it had the community, because there was so much good stuff going on. The ships were so varied. It's a fun game. It would be fun with Star Wars. It'd be fun without Star Wars. It's more fun with Star Wars, but I enjoy it. I think Eve Valkyrie did it better. We'll say that much. If Eve Valkyrie is an 8, then this is a 7. Let's say that. Do you have any questions about this, Adam? I think he disconnected from me, honestly.
The thing is, I'm not gonna lie, you did not hype me for this game at all. I do not even really want to play it anymore. But the one thing that we all learned right here, and we got it live, Alex likes to swing both ways. Okay, so next game, whichever one you want to talk about, but we're getting into more territory that I enjoy and that I'm more interested in.
Yeah. Okay. So the next game here, I was going to play Swordsman VR. There's reasons I couldn't play it. So another game I played this week instead. It's one that you already played, but I wanted to play it again because it was kind of it felt good to go back, and I had it preloaded while I was waiting for these other games to download. Damn it, PlayStation! Why you got to be so slow downloading? I played Wolfenstein Cyberpilot, which kind of RIP Bethesda on PlayStation consoles, because now they're purchased by Microsoft. Hear more about that on our other podcasts. But this is a game that you recommended, and I had it installed, and so I decided to play it to kill time while I was downloading the other games. And let me say, this game did not get enough credit when it came out. Yeah, It might be short. It might not. I don't know if you can use the Move controllers or not, but you don't need to, because the game plays very well with a DualShock. I enjoyed it very much. What, you're going to say something?
Have you gotten to the point where the tracking is just beyond abysmal?
Oh, is there a point where that happens?
There is one. So in the game, there's a point where you are in the base and you have to do very menial tasks.
Oh, yeah.
Like you have to grab the wrench and turn something on your left side. I mean, very simple things, not difficult at all. But for whatever reason, in only those sections, the tracking is some of the worst I have ever seen in a PSVR game. And I don't understand why or how, but it's atrocious. But once you begin the combat, it's great and borderline perfect.
Yeah.
Unlike anything I've ever seen, I don't know how you could nail it and then suck so hard. But either way, have you gotten to that?
Yeah, I have an idea. So basically the crux of the game, if you don't remember Adam's discussion of it, and why would you, because it was probably a bad discussion. The crux of the game is you more or less wake up as a person who is in a wheelchair, and they're part of the French resistance in World War II. They are in an unoccupied Nazi base that I guess has been taken over by the French rebellion. Because you're in a wheelchair, you can't move, and you're kind of stuck. I don't know if you're in a wheelchair. You're stuck in a chair that moves through this base. And you can only move by, using the DualShock. Your hands are kind of stuck in front of you in the DualShock shape, so you have to rotate the DualShock to rotate them in the right position. And you use the DualShock to move around this home base by moving, moving a lever to one of 4 floors on an elevator. Essentially, you go down to the basement, and there's this armory of robotic weaponry. You do cool things. You hit a button to bring them down, and then they come down, and you got to use this simulated joystick to bring them closer to you and spin them around and pull a microchip out of them and stick it in a computer that will hack the microchip and stick it back in the machine. So now you can control this Nazi death machine. That's cool. That's all fun. But like I said, I was using the DualShock. I think you have to use the DualShock. And so you're doing tracking. You're picking up objects and manipulating objects with a DualShock. And I think what you were running into, and what I realized I was running into, Adam, is when you're reaching out very far with the DualShock, you tend to point the light away from the camera for whatever reason, because you have to rotate your hand. You got to rotate it to pick up a wrench way off view. And if that light gets out of the view and it can't kind of guess where it's going to be going, then it'll just freeze you in your track. So yeah, it got really hard to reach things that were far away from my character because you can't move your character. It got difficult to reach down really low and flip switches that were underneath like a desk or something like that. So yeah, this hub world that they have you in is really annoying because it's just sitting and waiting while you're doing these menial tasks that are supposed to be like, oh, wow, gee whiz, I'm in VR. Listen, we get it. We've done VR before. But yeah, like you said, once you get into the combat, the first stage is great. You're in this Nazi panzer dog thing who breathes fire and can charge. And I played this first out of the 3 games we're going to talk today. And this was such a wonderful re-entrance welcome into PlayStation VR and VR in general. It was just, as I was walking through the streets of France as this cyber dog, I was just so excited and thrilled and so engaged and immersed in this stuff that, admittedly didn't have the greatest graphics, but it was just so fun and things work so smoothly. And I'm looking around the environment with my head and it's great. And I really feel like I'm in this world that's not fully fledged out. All the cars look the same. There's 1 car per street, weird stuff like that, but that's fine. I don't care. I'm there. And it's so fun and so engaging. So that's really why I wanted to bring this up. Was this is a game that was kind of like looked at as a B tier PSVR title, but I jump in and even the B tier, the good not great PSVR titles had me going, wow, this is so fun. This is so good. It feels so great. And it also just brought a tear to my eye because Arcane Studios is now not going to be making PSVR games. So
I do think this is a great time that if you have not played the game, I endorse it. I mean, again, obviously there are issues, but you're right. I think it definitely got the short end of the pogo stick and people didn't give it much love. It's a great time to probably buy it on the cheap and you get a really great 3-4 hour experience that you're really going to enjoy, other than those painful, like in between combat levels. But I'm glad that you kind of see eye to eye with what I was feeling, because I thought I was fairly impressive and I enjoyed it.
The whole time I was playing, I was like, I really wish that this would have sold like gangbusters and they would have been motivated to make just like a full, like really get a serious team at Bethesda behind this and make like a full-on game, a fully fleshed out and developed game in this cyber pilot motif. Because it's so freaking fun and there's so much you could do with this really fun thing. Do you know, I didn't beat the game. Do you know how many things you take control of? I saw 3. There was like the giant humanoid mech or something was the one I was about to hop into. There was the flying drone that you kind of do stealth with, and then there's the dog that I was in. Is there another one?
No, it's just those 3, but then you rotate them. So I think there's 3 rotations of those 3 things.
Okay, so there's about 9 levels, something like that?
Ish, yeah.
Which is fine. That's a healthy game, and it was, man, I think it was $20 when it came out, so maybe you get it for $10.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, that's the thing. They didn't overreach. $20, I think, for that experience was great. Now, if you can go on eBay, while we talk, I'm going to go on eBay on my phone. I'm going to see how much it is, because I bet you could probably get that for $10 now. And for 3, even if it's only 2 hours, that is a very healthy. That's more fun you'll ever have than watching a movie. Yeah. And it's cheaper than a movie.
You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me, did you ever play Star Fox 64?
It sure did.
Yeah, and you could play the multiplayer where you could pick like the tank or the R-Wing, or there was like some other thing like a boat or something like that. But you could pick these different things. I really wish that this had like a multiplayer. Imagine Battlezone like this, where you're picking not just tanks, but you could pick these really agile flying drones. Like you could pick any of the enemies and fight. Man, Battlezone's so good. Why couldn't they just make like a PvP where you could pick? Oh God, I need to call Rebellion. I'm going to call Rebellion after the podcast and tell them, can you make a Battlezone deathmatch where you can play the different enemy types against each other? It'd be so fun.
It's still $20.
Still $20. That's all right. It's worth every penny of that, man. If you get 1 great hour of entertainment out of it, which I did, then it's well worth $20. And then if you like it, go ahead and have 3 or 4 more. It's just so good, so good. Like I said, it's good, not great, but it's so good, so good. So that's Wolfenstein Cyberpilot. Just absolute wonderful. Just great delight. Really fun burning up the zombies, disintegrating them. And I can't wait to see how the humanoid just thrashes them. That's going to be really fun. Yeah. Anything else you want to say about Cyberpilot?
I'm ready to jump into budget cuts because this is
Yeah.
a game, obviously, I have yet to play. I kept hearing budget cuts, budget cuts, budget cuts, and it has the graphics almost of like Accounting Plus, but it doesn't look to be that same type of humor. But I'm intrigued in this game, what you think about it, and maybe I'm sure you haven't finished it yet, but what if you could tell what makes it so great and why people love it so much?
Yeah, so budget cuts, that's the next game that I played. And yeah, this is one of the games that you constantly heard from PCVR people saying, well, this is one of the best games and you guys don't have it on the PSVR. Well, guess what? We have it now. And it's one of the early VR games that was built for VR, which means it's going to have that special VR quality to it. And right off the bat, yeah, you feel that. And you're right. It's kind of got that job simulator vibe to it. You start off in an office and you start off in an office looking across from a robot, but you're apparently a human, although I don't really, other than people telling you that, you don't really notice that because the only representation of yourself you have are these two little floating move controllers. But you hear that they're kind of getting rid of the humans, and you have this woman talking to you through like a phone, kind of doing like what they did in the Matrix where they're calling Neo and telling him like, go here, go here, go here. So the idea is you're trying to, I guess, escape this work facility, it's supposed to be like a really boring office space type environment. Escape this place as a human before they try to like destroy you. And then there's these security drones that are walking around, and if they see you, they're going to shoot you and kill you because you are outside of where you're supposed to be. The idea of budget cuts is that robots are cheaper labor, and the guy who owns this business, you don't really know what you do. The guy who runs this business is just trying to, cut down on costs and replace all the humans with robots. And to replace the humans, I guess they're going to kill them. I don't know. But right off the bat, you start off at a desk, you're looking at a robot, and you have all these things in front of you that you can interact with. You have a telephone that's ringing. You have a pager. You get the pager that tells you when you find a phone what number to call so that the person can communicate with you. You also, like right off the bat, you get this stamp. You're an HR person. People are requesting vacation, so you can pick up these pages of people requesting vacation, like, oh, it's my grandma's 100th birthday and I haven't seen her in 20 years, and then you have a stamp that you can deny it. It's just funny. Then you can stamp everything in the environment with this deny stamp. Just little silly humor, like in Job Simulator. But then you get this like translocator. It's a gun that shoots at a ball, and then wherever the ball lands, that's where you can teleport. But before you choose to teleport, you kind of get like this teleport portal view of what it's going to look like in that area that you're about to teleport to. If you know what I mean, like, say I want to know what's around the corner. I want to teleport out into this hallway, but there might be an enemy out there. So I can throw this ball out there, and then I can use this translocator to kind of look around as if I was already there. And then I hit a button to confirm that I want to teleport. That's how the gameplay is played. It's like a stealth game where you're trying to work your way through this circuitous office arena area. Along the way, you start picking up sharp objects like darts or scissors, or they just have knives. They're just throwing knives. And so you have the ability then to fight back when you see these robots that might shoot you with a gun. You can throw it at them. You can sneak up on them and stab them. And so the whole idea is you got to find key cards and make your way out of this environment while these robots are trying to find you. There's a lot of flexibility in the paths that you can take, because sometimes you'll see like graters or grates, and you can pop them open and then shoot your little ball in there and then teleport into a room where nobody's going to be patrolling. Or you can just monitor how the enemies are moving and try to teleport behind them so that they're not going to ever see you. Or sometimes you see holes in the ceiling. What's really kind of interesting and nice is if you pay careful attention to the environment, that will give you clues as to where like hints are going to be. So there was one thing. The whole thing has this kind of like optimistic depression. Like the robots talk about like, oh, my day's going well. I'm just searching for the will to live. Ha, ha, ha. Like that kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's whimsical, but supposed to be kind of depressing, like Office Space. But you'll see I went into a room, didn't know how to get it around an enemy. I looked on the wall, and it was like an inspirational poster of a robot that says, whenever you're feeling down, just look up and you'll feel better. And I read that, and so I looked up, and there was a hole in the ceiling. And so I shot my teleporter up to get into the hole in the ceiling and get around the enemy. There's those kind of things all the time, and there's little jokes about like, oh, the brand of knives that you have that you throw are called convenient. as in, oh, it's so convenient that I find these knives that I can throw and kill enemies with. So little silly in jokes like that. That's the crux of the gameplay. I don't know if it gets more combat focused oriented. I think the whole thing is stealth and trying to escape. It's extremely polished. The graphics are really nice. The one downside is there are so many load times. It's obvious the game is divided up into like levels. And so when you get to the end of the level, you teleport into this blank, looks like a 1980s idea of like a blank VR space with these grid lines. And then the game goes to load and you just sit there. I hate load screens in VR, Adam. I just absolutely hate them. So yeah, that's the biggest problem I have is once I finally feel like I'm hitting my groove, now I got to sit through a load screen and wait to move on to the next level. If you die, guess what? You're going to sit through that same load screen again. It really takes the wind out of my sails having to do that. But when you're doing good, it doesn't happen as often and you feel all right. Have I tempered your potential enthusiasm for this game at all, Adam?
It sounds like not necessarily like a bad game, but it's similar enough, I feel like, in terms of style of virtual reality, which to me is one of the most underrated PSVR games I have ever played. People do not talk about it. It is so weird and strange, and it actually is funny. It has a good plot. Your mind is just getting rocked. You have no effing idea what's going on. I feel like I have a hard time because I just think of virtual reality, and I really think that is probably, at least for me personally, the better game that I would enjoy more. I'm not really interested in budget cuts. I've seen enough job simulators and accounting pluses and the virtual realities. Like, I just can't really imagine budget cuts providing anything extra enough for me wanting to take the plunge and spend time on it. I'm sure it's a very polished game. I know people love it. Maybe if I actually sat down and watched some gameplay, that could convince me, but
I don't think watching the gameplay would convince you. I will say, here's the thing with the game, and I understand why the PC VR people love it. It's because it was one of the first VR games to come out, and these guys really nailed the locomotion before we kind of understood what it took to make good locomotion in a game. The teleport mechanic, it feels a bit clunky because we haven't done that in a while. We're so used to smooth locomotion now, but it works really well. And the whole thing of looking around where you're about to teleport to before you teleport there, that works really well too. So much so to where I never felt constrained by the fact that I had to teleport. I felt enabled by the teleportation ability because it gave me that little bonus view window that I could use. Also, the throwing mechanics are surprisingly good. I guess maybe they finally hammered those out. It feels much better than it did in like Super Hot or something like that. Once you get used to it, there's a bit of a curve to it and know when to let go of the button to throw the knives. But I've done some pretty far knife throwing shots towards some of the enemies, and it's landed, and that's been nice. One thing is, it feels extremely violent when you stab one of the robots because they start gushing oil as if it was like blood in a violent movie, and it gets very visceral very quickly. But that's kind of the humor of it. So yeah, it was really fun. I want to say it lives up to the hype only when you take into account the hype was built up as this was one of the first VR games to come out. So I certainly think if you get a chance, you should play it, Adam. You'd probably enjoy it, but you got to give it enough time to get over that initial hurdle of like, okay, I'm teleporting again. So yeah.
Have you finished virtual reality?
I haven't even started it, but I have it, and I watched you play it, and I agree. The game looks bonkers in a good way. I really want to play through it.
What do I have to do? We don't have a PS5 here. This is the perfect time to catch up on some games. I really want that game to be one. The thing is, once you're 30 minutes in, you're not stopping. You're going to finish it because it's such a wild ride. And not only that, but I want to watch you play. This week, can we go back and do a golden stream? You play virtual reality?
Maybe, yeah. I wouldn't be opposed to that.
I mean, I want it bad, man.
Yeah.
It's even fun to watch someone for the first time play. I mean, I don't even know. I don't want to say anything. I don't want to give it up. I hope that you actually follow through. And I mean, you didn't say you would.
Let's plan on it. Let's plan on doing a golden stream Wednesday, and then I'll play some virtual reality. Because I'll admit, when I was trying to figure out what game to play while these games are downloading, before I picked Wolfenstein Cyberpilot, I stared at virtual reality for a while, and I decided I'm not in the right mindset. I'm a bit too tired to handle the silliness that this game is going to bring at me. But I also thought about playing Vertigo Home as well. I decided against it.
Oh, you're so dumb.
Yeah.
But okay, so there's some games that you do in fact need to play, and I say you, not me, because I can't. I can play with myself. Swordsman VR. I'm gonna list these games. You tell me which ones, what order and priority do you have these? Swordsman's VR, Until You Fall, Vader Immortal, Pistol Whip, and Pixel Ripped 1995.
Yeah, I don't. So I bought Swordsman VR because it looked really good. I remember seeing videos of it and it sounded awesome. And they've been active in the community hyping this game. So I want to play that one. But if I just putting personal, desire aside from that of just like the guy seems really nice who made it, I think at the top of the list, Pistol Whip, because that I've heard great things about it. It seems like a rhythm shooter, like super hot mixed with Beat Saber, something like that. So I'm really interested in playing that. That's at the top of the list. Number 2, it's going to be a tie between Swordsman VR or Until You Fall. I'm going to lean towards Until You Fall because that looks like if you ever played Infinity Blade or Punch Out, it's that kind of game mechanic where you got to attack in the right direction. But this is also rhythm based and has some of this weird 1980s super hyper colored stuff going on. The trailer looked great. So I'm interested in playing that one just because I think that's going to vibe with the feeling that I want to have when I'm playing VR. What was that shooting game that you played where the main bad guy is like a nerd of the arcade?
Nerd of the arcade.
It was like that wave shooter. It was a bullet hell shooter.
There's so many.
No, but there's the boss. It looks like all 1980s and virtual, and the boss is a guy who is he's like the best video game player at the arcade. Oh my God, it was early on too. Anyways, this looks like that kind of feeling, like 80s color stuff. So I'm excited about that. Oh, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about when I say it. Just, yeah. I'll come back to it.
Operation Warcade?
No. Oh God, I'm going to be so upset if I don't figure this out. I'm pausing right now. Pause. It's Blasters of the Universe, Adam. How did you not remember that? Blasters of the Universe. Do you remember that game?
Is it the one with that? Yeah, the logo has the blue guy with goggles on or something. He looks weird.
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. Their whole thing was bullet hell. Yeah. I mean, it was all right.
There's that kind of motif. That's what this has. The Until You Fall has. All right. Next on the list, Swordsman VR would be on the list. But maybe Pixel Ripped 1995, I should give that more credit. I need to play that game because Pixel Ripped 1985 was just such an awesome experience. I say experience not because it's not a game. It's just you're doing so much crazy stuff in the game. It's so much crazy things. So many crazy things happen. I want more of that. So I want to get behind that. I'm excited to play it. I just got to find the time. Then you'd have Swordsman, probably number 4, just because I know what it is. It's a known entity. It's probably going to be the best one out of all of these, but it's just a known entity, and I'm not super pumped in that I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Last, bottom of the list, Vader Immortal, because I heard it was like a bad port, and everything I hear about it is maybe I don't need to play that so much. It seems like a game that's going to lean on, it's Star Wars. Isn't it so fun to see Darth Vader in VR? It's not really going to be that fun, so I'm not too crazy about it. Adam, do any of these stick out to you as something that gets you pumped?
I still haven't played Pixel Rip 1985. I would like to play that. Other than it, not really. Okay. I mean, to be honest, I'm pretty much in PS5 mode. I'm ready to play that pup. Now, when Hitman comes out, I will, without a doubt, be playing Hitman. So that's the next VR title that's kind of on the horizon that I'm looking for. And honestly, it may be the next VR title, the first one I play again. Because once PS5 comes out, I'm probably not going to hop back in until Hitman, unless, there's something that pops up that I'm really interested in. But Hitman... Dude, that is just going to be quality. I'm pretty pumped for that.
Yeah, the Hitman Trilogy, when does that come out?
January.
January, you got to wait so long for it. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the reason I wanted to kind of list these games and talk about these games is because we were on that. What's the guy, Anthony VR 365? We were on his show a while back, and he thought Sony has given up on the PlayStation VR. There's no future for PlayStation VR, but here we have some really high quality games that are coming out, and high quality games that have already come out recently, and it seems like full steam ahead on PSVR is just being overshadowed by the glory that is the PlayStation 5 and its imminence as it comes out soon. So there's a lot going on. I hope that momentum is carried on to PlayStation 5 and we can see some really fun games being made in PS5. That being said, Adam, now it's time to discuss the sales, everybody's favorite segment of the podcast. We don't have too many to discuss, but I'm going to need you to let me know what I need to buy and what I need to avoid. Are you ready?
My butthole's hot. I'm ready to drop some hard facts.
All right. Get all the cultures out. Yes. Loading Human, Chapter 1, only chapter, $4.49.
Load up another game.
Tekken 7, $9.99.
Tekken, no, that's so stupid. How is this? This game is always on sale, and it's probably because no one will buy it, and no one's going to buy it this time either.
Tekken 7, more like taking a dump on your console. Persona 5, Dancing in Starlight, $7.79.
I would rather play the Symphony of the Night.
Okay.
Is it that one? Aren't there two of them?
There's two of them, and Symphony of the Night is Castlevania. Here's
whatever.
the thing. This is that game that was like always $60, and it would go on sale for like $55. Now it's $7.
Wow. That's a big jump.
Yeah, I like Persona. I never played Persona 5, but I like Persona. And part of me wants to get it just because it's like, now it's so cheap. What have I been missing out on? What did they think was worth charging $60 for so long? I'm not going to do it because I don't want to play a dancing rhythm action game starring my favorite characters from a game I never played. But I'm tempted. Anyways, moving on. Time Carnage for $5.99.
I never played this one. It looked like, I don't know. I think there were some major issues with it. Like I said, I've never played it. I would say shy away. There's enough good stuff out there that unless you're just VR desperate, you should be able to find other things.
I'm VR desperate. I'm just desperate. Mervils, a VR adventure for $5.99.
No, I'm never going to play Mervils. That is like a poor man's any other type of stupid game that looks like Mervils.
Ace Combat 7, Skies Unknown for $19.79.
You love it. I couldn't get into it, even in VR.
I love the flat game. The VR was also great. I think the VR alone is worth that $20 if you're willing to replay the 3 missions over and over again.
I just don't think it was because I'm a VR professional at this point, but it didn't do anything for me. It didn't make me sick. The graphics weren't the greatest. It is cool, but $20? You can get Pixel Rip for $20. You get a whole game for that.
You can get Mega Dimension Neptunia V2R for $11.99. What do you think about that?
Oh my gosh, is that the one with Hakune Miku?
Well, it's got all the anime girls that I hope they're over 18 because they sexualize them. It's that Japanese RPG that Kampa. Remember Kampa? She used to be my yeah. That's her game.
I'm not playing that.
Do you like these games, Japanese RPGs, where they're like turn-based fighting? I thought you did, like old Final Fantasy.
No, what the f are you talking about?
Didn't you like the old Final Fantasy games or Chrono Trigger or something like that?
I played Chrono Trigger once. I thought it was cool. I liked Super Mario RPG. I like Kingdom Hearts.
If you like Kingdom Hearts, maybe you'll love this because they're both games for pedophiles. Persona 3, Dancing in Moonlight, $11.99.
There it is. This is the one. Buy it.
Here's what's weird. Persona 3, Dancing in Moonlight is $11.99. Persona 5, Dancing in Starlight is $7.79. What's the secret there?
Shorter experience, worse gameplay, and less cleavage.
Easily, Persona 5 is more popular. I'm wondering what's going on there. Maybe this PS prices, we're doing this on PS prices. Maybe they're not reflecting the real prices. They're just kind of making up prices from Walmart or something. I don't know.
Maybe you should shut up and put up, big boy, and buy them both and tell us next week.
That's not a bad idea. Golden Spring knows. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard Gold Edition for $19.99.
Oh, if you haven't played this yet, I don't know what your issue is, and you probably don't want to play it. So I don't really know what to tell you. I mean, if you haven't, you need to. But seriously, if you haven't by now, you need to go F off, because this should have been like one of the top 5 priorities of your life. So yeah.
Okay. Well, Prey Digital Deluxe, another Bethesda entity that's no longer going to be with us. Now, the single player of this game has gotten rave reviews. Haven't gotten around to playing it. The multiplayer, it's like a hide and seek first person shooter. That is what is in VR. It's called Typhon Hunter or something like that. So, $19.99. If you're looking for VR, you're just getting a multiplayer component. I'll admit, PlayStation VR is probably not where you're going to find anybody playing this game unless you got buddies that's going to play it with you. But Adam, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm not going to play this. I don't even think – I remember when it came out, I waited. We tried to get codes for it. Didn't hear jack crap. I don't think it was like even in its heyday that popular and or a great game. So I don't think it's worth – I don't think it's worth it.
It was an update to a game that came out like 3 years ago, 3 years prior. So, of course, there's no like hype about it. Adam, if I bought this for you, well, I guess you don't have a PlayStation, so who cares? I can't buy it for you and play it. Damn it, Adam.
At this point, I would play a Stunt Kite Master if I could get in VR. But
get a kite. You can play the real deal. Monster of the Deep, Final Fantasy 15, $14.99.
Another game I think that is definitely underrated. It's going to take a whole lot of your time. Even if you don't like fishing, you can shoot dragons and monsters. It's got that Final Fantasy vibe. If you want to see Cindy Arm's cleavage and butt cheeks, I mean, what more? She like literally bends over in front of you. It's so obvious what they're trying to do. It's actually unsettling. And even though you may be the only one in the room, you're still going to feel like really dirty and perverted, even though like, no, Cindy, please stand up. Don't do that. And she doesn't care. She wants to show off the girls. And it's how it is. But it is a very good game. I encourage you to play if you're even remotely interested.
It is funny that Final Fantasy's first venture into VR is just like softcore pornography. Project Lux, $14.99.
No, I didn't play this game. I saw you play it once, and it did not look like a game that I enjoy. I think you can do better.
This is one of those visual novels, and I thought it was interesting, except in the climax of the story, all of the audio is in Japanese, so you have to read in English. And then in the climactic scene where they explain everything that's happening, the subtitles broke. And so it's just somebody talking to me in Japanese explaining everything that was happening. And that was, man, that just sucked. It sucked that they did that because I was all aboard until that happened. Tokyo Chronos, $29.99. Adam, what you thinking?
No, that's way too much.
If you like visual novels, which some people love them, this is a really good one, and it's in VR, and it shows you that visual novels can be done really, really well in VR. Just be prepared that it kind of hurts because you're wearing that headset for a long time just looking around, but it works well, and it's an interesting story. So I support it. $29.99, though, you got to be a fan of visual novels for sure. Shadow Legend VR. Adam, you played this. $14.99.
Yeah, I think that's a pull the trigger. It is a quality game, real fun, in-depth. Gameplay is really good. It's got little bits of like hidden secrets, things for you to really spend time in each of the levels. Combat could be what you want to make of it. I think it's a quality title. For $15, it's going to be hard to beat that.
All right, and our last title, Disaster Report 4, Summer Memories, for $41.99.
I don't remember this at all, and also $42 does not seem much of a sale.
Okay. All right. Well, guess what? That is the end of our list of sales, and that is the end of the podcast as it is. Thank you for listening. Adam, you want to take us out?
The thing is, if you do not play virtual reality now, my soul will be crushed. So here's the thing. I'm going to have to raise the stakes because I know that you suck. It doesn't have to be Wednesday, Alex. Here's what's going to happen. You either play virtual reality and stream it sometime this week. It could be whatever time, whatever day best suits you, or I'll give you until Saturday. If you don't do it by Saturday, you have to start playing Kingdom Hearts 2. And I get to watch.
Virtual reality is going to be a reality. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do not want to touch Kingdom Hearts.
You can thank me later, folks, because that game is incredible. If you have not played it, you need to watch it. Watching this buffoon play it is going to be the highlight of your week. You will just see his mind get rocked over. I can't wait. But listen, it was so good to be back talking about PSVR. I wish I had it. I want it so bad. I love it. I love you. I need you. I want you. Stay in touch. Play PSVR is still on iTunes. We still got our email, contact@playpsvr.com, all that good stuff. Twitter, now we're Play PS5 Pod, but it's the same people running it. If you miss these voices, check out Play PS5 the podcast. Same pretty much buffoonery. It's just us now. We're talking about PS5. We're going to be bringing in that VR content too once Hitman comes out, and it's going to be game on when PSVR 2 comes out in like a year. Either way, thanks for listening to Play PSVR, where virtual reality is our reality.